Okay, how y'all doing? I should be live. And I just got an arrow there so I can turn. Usually takes more time. I don't know. I thought I had more time. I didn't have more time. Oh well. Anyways, I am live. Welcome goes kind of for a mile and just be like a minute or and some Monday morning St. Patrick's Day. My grandmother was Scotch Irish, and I believe the actual Irish kind of weird because St. Patrick's Day. What's that? What is that? St. Patty's? Patty's a, you know? And then, oh, St. Patrick's Day. Oh, it's St. Patrick's. Don't have the thought that you would think they would on that one, but if you think about it, makes more sense that some people wouldn't like him as much. So we talk about the history that has been erased of Irish people, and St. Patrick was a big part of that. You know, he drove out the snakes. Well, what was he talking about? He was talking about the pagans. You know, the whole Catholic Protestant thing later to follow. And then of course the English were not very good to the Irish. There's a lot of history there. A lot of lost history. You know, Flight of the Earls, all that kind of shit. A potato famine when there was plenty of food. Now, of course, this is much later than St. Patrick, but it's just this long history of abuses, you know? And, yeah, there was plenty of food in Ireland during the potato famine. Plenty of food. The problem is they weren't allowed to eat any of it, and it was all sent to England and other places because the English are like, fuck the Irish, you know? Yeah. So, their views on things like St. Patrick's Day, which really, here in America, what is celebrated is a uniquely American holiday. People who can claim 1/32 Irish, their great grandmother came from Ireland. Most of those people are probably so fucking English they could be drinking tea in the morning, you know? An excuse to go out and get wasted and get drunk, you know? But what did St. Patrick really do? You know, he did the same thing a lot of other Catholics did at the time. You know, his goal was to get rid of the pagans. Conversion. Sometimes that wasn't so nice, you know? A lot of times that wasn't done by making things more appealing and having a better argument. You know, I'm not saying he necessarily did that, but, you know, other side of my family is where the word slave comes from, which is Slavs. The reason being, they were the last ones to convert. That is neutral. Why am I in neutral? I don't know why this bike does that. But, yeah, where have we found neutral today, class? The reason that the Slavs were made into slaves kind of like a people of the book kind of thing, and where Muslims, Christians, and Jews are all people, you know. They're all believers in Abraham. They're all believers in, you know, Jehovah, God, that sort of thing. And it branches off from there where the beliefs go, you know. Some are waiting for the Messiah. Some say the Messiah wasn't a Messiah, he was a prophet, and guess what? They got another prophet, and a lot of wars, a lot of shit like that. But we were the last pagans, basically. We were the last ones to convert to Christianity. Oh, I'm not jumping out in front of there. I'm fogging up a little. Let me open this up. It's my glasses. But I mean, we were enslaved by the Romans. Jesus Christ. There are too many people out here. It's like you don't know who's going to do the speed limit and who's not going to do the speed limit. That makes it hard to do anything. You know? Lovely, lovely. But anyways, they, of course the Vikings were also pagan, and the Vikings really weren't defeated, they were, converted, famously, to the point that Viking blood runs through the royal family today. Yeah, a few famous descendants of Old Rollo. Got William the Conqueror and all them. But, yeah, they were slaves. So it's like, those my grandparents. Well, my grandmothers, the histories of their people aren't that great as far as, like, in the not being abused by other people. You can go with the Scots or the Irish. You know, the English weren't too nice to either one of them. You know? And by the way, my family is in the Book of Wallace. Yes, that Book of Wallace. Yes, that William Wallace. You know? So, yeah. Strangely enough, both sides of my family are. Ain't that a trip? Not only are both sides of my family that one, there's another book that was written in like the 15 or 1600s that basically has all the English families, crests and houses, you know, all that kind of stuff. Families in there too, both sides. I mean, my family tree has to, both sides of my family have to grow in together at some point. I'm kind of looking for that. At what point did the inbreeding start? I mean, I know it happened, but at what point did it start, you know? It's a trip. I mean, like, my grandfathers, both of their families, we're talking, they came over Maryland Colony, Robstown, you know, Virginia, Isle of Wight. They have got to be like interbred in there somewhere. And there was a family history of, oh, you're related to John Smith. Well, I did find a John Smith from the right place. The problem was it's like 20 years later, and from what I can figure out, the, what do you call it, and thank you for whoever's out there. I think that's Tolga. So, hey, Tolga, what's up? Oh, where was I going? Oh, yeah. There's another John Smith that was born like 20 years after when he would have needed to have been I think what he was the descendant. There was like, I think 99, something like that, women that were pretty much conned to coming to the New World as wives. You know, hey, we can't have the settlers marrying native women. You know how the English and all them were back then, you know. They wouldn't have gone for that, even though it happened, even though it did. But, yeah, there was a John Smith. There actually was a John Smith. It's just the wrong John Smith, and I can't find anywhere where I'd actually be related to that John Smith. Not yet. You know, not as far as I know. But family histories are weird that way. You know? Because, you know, it gets passed down from generation to generation, stories and embellishments. And I kind of like this, like the Ancestry.com things and all that, where people start unraveling mysteries and what had happened. And one of the things I've found that's been helpful for me going back researching my family is, as long as the records weren't destroyed in a war, the church was very good at keeping records. As far as, you know, birth, death, marriage, that sort of thing. And you can go back through and trace the family's records. But then again, there's the American education system sucks. So a lot of the things you're looking for didn't exist at the time. Like when my great-grandfather was born, I'm not looking for Czechoslovakia. It didn't exist. I mean, Bohemia existed. You know, Prague was the seat of the Holy Roman Empire for a little while before they moved it back down to Rome. But yeah, there's some wars and stuff there. Defenestration of Prague, that was the second one. But, you know, we teach kids like, oh, Columbus thought he found Indians from India, and that's why they're called Indians. And India didn't exist until, what, 1959, something like that? Wasn't even called that. You know, so we teach our children a bullshit history of so many things that are just blatantly false. And then people grow up their whole lives believing this stuff that they were taught, and they're like, well, why did history change? Well, because they taught you bullshit. Because history is voted on as far as what we teach our kids. I mean, we voted in Texas to take out Hispanic contributions from Texas history books a few years ago. Just, our kids are being too nice to the Hispanics. Let's take that out. Because, you know, that's a thing that exists down here. But anyways, when you're going back researching your history, you know, it's things like that. You're not looking for Czech, you're looking for Austria. Because at that time, it was the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And they were under Austrian rule. So Bohemia was a thing, which is basically what's now the Czech Republic, you know. But it was Austria. It was part of Austria at the time. That was before World War I. You know, so you're looking for different places, different things. You know, Germany, if you want to go back, oh, my family's from Germany, I want to go back, look, 600 years ago. Well, Germany didn't exist 600 years ago. I mean, you end up with like Prussia and these Germanic states and stuff like that. But who was it? Was that Otto von Bismarck? There's Wilhelm. You know, they unified all those German states. You know, they had that first Reich and then the second and the third. And so you're going back through all these records. But the church was really good at keeping track of things, like when people lived, you know, when people were born, when they were died, when they were christened, and you start going back through your family history and figure out people actually moved. And because you go back far enough and you're thinking, oh, they must have just stayed in this little town or what have you. And to a degree, they kind of did, you know? And to a degree, they didn't. And I think a lot of that has to do with rights and, you know, who got what and who went where. Whereas, like, the firstborn son is really the one who would get inheritance. Or most of it. The secondborn had to go out and find his own way. And that's kind of biblical, you know? So the church plays a role there too. And then usually the woman would go with her husband's family, you know? So I end up chasing these, you know, great, what have you, grandmothers. You know, you branch off this way and it goes to Hungary and Romania, and you branch off that way and it goes into Lithuania and Russia. And there's more movement than you think from people. But I can find my great-grandfather's records. They were, well, that great-grandfather through the Austrian Catholic Church, because the Catholics won the war. You know, threw the papist out a window. Catholic Church says the Virgin Mary and angels carried them to the ground, and it's an actual miracle recorded in the Catholic Church. Everyone who saw it said they landed in a manure cart, and that's why they lived. But then there was a whole war and all that, and the Catholic Church kind of won. And strangely, even though there's so many beautiful churches and all that stuff there, and more castles in the Czech Republic than anywhere else in Europe, beautiful castles, they're kind of secular today, you know? I think something about all the communism and everything that they escaped from had something to do with that. Then you go on the other side and you got the Irish and you got the Troubles, and yeah, they were Catholic. I actually grew up in the Baptist church though. And my one grandfather was Baptist. And that's my mother's father. And they all ended up marrying Catholics because they didn't go out drinking with their good Baptist friends. And they went out with their Catholic friends and they ended up marrying Catholics. So, ow. I went around one and I hit the other. Oh, good Lord. That's interesting. I started off all this talking about St. Patrick. I mean, is he good? Is he bad? Well, if you agree with the persecution of the pagans, you know, and the erasure of people's history and ways of life and all that, well, I guess he's a pretty good dude. I don't think he was a bad dude, you know, I think he's somewhere in between. He believed what he believed. He followed those beliefs. That's probably most people in history. Isn't there a joke about that though? Like where people don't know that they're the bad guy. It's like, are we the bad guys? I can't see. I just lifted it. Let me see, is everyone here? Good morning, Tolga. J-Man, how y'all doing? I'm just running my mouth on the way to work. Alright, I'm gonna try to get out here. I think I gotta make my U-turn. Be right up here. It's like 40 something degrees this morning. It's gonna be 80 this evening. When it goes the other way, that can crack your windshield. The temperature inversion. I've actually had that happen, where the temperature drops so quick. Okay, here's my thing. Ooh, that's a lot of gravel. But where the temperature drops so quick, it ends up cracking people's windshields. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that. But anyways, there's history to all these people we have holidays for that aren't necessarily what you think they are. And a lot of holidays we have here in America are, you know, even the ones celebrating our own cultures. My grandmother, she's Irish, you know, well, Scotch-Irish, but, you know, hey, that's a great excuse to go drinking. But what we celebrate ends up being really more of an American holiday than it is anything else. I'm not saying don't get wasted. Go have fun. Don't drink and drive though. That shit would suck. Drink responsibly if you're gonna drink. If you want to get shit-faced, stay where you're at. Have somebody drive you. Don't go out there and hurt somebody just because you want to have a good time. And say that you're 1/86th or whatever Irish. You're going to go get shit-faced and plastered on green beer that you're never going to want to drink again in your life. You know? So drink responsibly. Drink yourself. Irish. Used to get drunk. You know? And you really don't need an excuse. You're an adult. You want to get drunk, get drunk. Just remember you got to go to work in the morning. Like I said, you're an adult. And my signal's going to cut out a little bit through here. I'm not sure where. It might have already started out, but we shall find out. Work. I gotta go empty a pneumatic trailer today, which is gonna take all day because the place that I have to go is a royal pain in the ass. It's one of them, too many chiefs and not enough Indians. They're over safety compliant to the point that it becomes a hazard. You ever been any place like that? Have gas. But I have been places where their safety compliance is actually dated. Them this or that, and you're like, yeah, no, we're not doing that shit. We're doing it this way because none of us want to die. You know? But that's life. That's blue collar life. Where are we at? Here we go. Ah, not too much gravel there this morning. A whole bunch of gravel trucks and everything that come through here, and farm equipment and all that shit, where you've really got to watch. A few scary experiences out yet, but that doesn't mean I can't in the future. Doesn't mean I don't do it today. So keep my and get my ass to work. Who else is out there? I can't tell because I'm too fogged up. I lifted my visor back there and I think it let the moisture in or whatever, the cold, something. The top of it's unfogging. Who is that? Oh, that's J-Man. Cool. Hey, J-Man, what's up? I'm off to work. as usual, a little later than normal. I'm having some storage issues with my phone. I think it's that planned obsolescence shit. I have to go through clearing things out and doing all that crap, and I just figured I'd go live. It saves me a lot of editing and downloading and everything else, and you know, it works unless it don't. There's some sections like through here where it's just going to be this just people. You have to deal with what time people use the internet the most. You know, just like anything else, you're dealing with a signal. How many people are on it, how strong it is where you're at, and all that good stuff. So, it is what it is. I think it should hold from here on in. It might blip again, I don't know. But a lot of that is, yeah, the hurricane did damage last year. And it took a while to recover from it. So places my signal was good, it wasn't so good anymore. And what's messed up is my signal will skip out right next to the tower. I mean right next to the tower. It'll skip out right there. I'm like, why? The tower is right there. It's the same company. It's the company I have my phone with. It is their tower. So why in the world would it skip out? I don't know. But it does. So, we got the curve coming up here. There's the curve. Beautiful moon. I don't know if y'all can see that. Woo. I want to look at the road. Everybody coming into the factories. Most of the people at this is people, they're plants is what they are. They're refineries and chemical plants, and everybody coming into work. That's most of the people you're going to find on this road going the direction I am this morning. Might find a few people going the other way, but it's not that many. Let me see. Unless one side comes in, we're gonna cut waste, and they cut everything from the other side that they don't like. And the next party comes in and they do the same thing, but they cut from the other side. And Raytheon and all them, and the pharmaceutical companies and the medical industry that wants to charge you $200 for an aspirin, none of them are affected. Nobody's money at the top's actually hurt when it comes to corporations. Your dollar's worth less. You struggle to keep up with bills, and I don't know if there's a solution to that. As far back as you go, it's the same thing. Look what a house and a car would cost you 40 years ago. Look what it costs you now. Hell, look what that bike would cost you 30, 40 years ago. And they're like, we want to get inflation down to 2%. Well, 2% still in the wrong direction. We want to get inflation down to 0, preferably negative. Make my money worth more. Can we get a politician to do that? That'd be awesome. Instead of all this bullshit about raising the minimum wage and everything else, you know what would actually bring all of us up? You know, it might hurt the banks a little bit because of how they make their money with the interest and everything. But it would work out in our favor. Make the money worth more. And then your pay's worth more. That cost of living raise isn't really a raise, by the way. That's just bringing your pay up to what it was 2 years ago. That's all it is. It's like, well, inflation's been this much over the past 2 years. Your money's been devalued this much, so we're going to give you a raise of this much to bring your money back to what it was when we hired you. That's all it is. So how come we can't do the economy in the reverse? Make our money worth more. That'd be awesome. But anyways, I'll probably talk your arm off. I'm cold. It's early morning and I gotta go into work, so I will catch you all later. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble on and on about nonsense. You're all amazing. I love you. Thank you so much. Adios. Vaya con Dios. Sayonara.